This is News at 8.
Welcome to another edition of the Primetime News Bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV, available worldwide on the internet and in Europe on ABN Television. In this edition, former Chief Executive of Savannah Accelerated Development Authority cited for violation of procurement law in award of controversial 32.4 million Ghana cedis afforestation contract. Over 200 homes, including that of the chief of Dokochina, demolished in the Brunahafo region by Regional Security Council. Progressive People's Party blames poor organizational structures of various regimes for current challenges in the education sector. At Old Fadama here in Accra is a kiosk which serves as a school by day and a football viewing center at night. And health authorities worried about use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets for fishing, farming, as wedding gowns, and other purposes other than warding off mosquitoes. Abigail Adumakwe will join me later to bring you business, whilst George Ado Jr. brings us sports news. I take care of international news and showbiz. Stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Live.
Now, very first story, a demolition exercise in the Brunahafo region town of Dokochina has left virtually all the townsfolk homeless. According to the chief of the town, who is also affected, their houses were pulled down by a task force upon the orders of the Regional Security Council. Nana Edward Kwejo Kuma Domaka tells Joy News his people who were having to pass the night without shelter are terrified after members of the task force assured them they will return tomorrow to drive them off the land.
I sleep in the open space because the regional minister of Brunahafo region, yesterday on the 15th of April 2014, sent Barima Authority, Game of Wildlife, Bana DC, the Bana police, soldiers, to the Kachina village to demolish the whole village. So the whole village is sleeping in the open space. According to the regional minister, on the 11th of April 2014, he sent people to tell us that they will be coming to demolish the village by 14th of April 2014 if we don't leave the village, because I, the chief, Nana Edward Kwejo Kuma Domaka, have gone to bring foreigners to Dokachina land to do illegal mining at the Dokachina place, which is not true. According to the regional minister, he said by tomorrow, if they do not vacate the village, those who wanted to demolish the village will be coming to kill us like fowls.
Now, we've been trying to reach the Brunahafo regional minister for some more on this particular the demolitions and why it had to come to that. We've been unable to reach him, but my colleague Jojo Kobna, he's been working the story and he joins me in the studio. So we've been unsuccessful. I know you've been trying to reach the regional minister. We've been so far unsuccessful. But what have you been able to gather? Why did they have to demolish the buildings?
It is funny, but the issue is very murky. But what I found was that they wanted to locate, that is the Barima Authority, wanted to relocate the people of Dokochina. They tried several times to relocate them. Half of the people relocated, and they've been forcing those people there to relocate to no avail. And the people took them to court that they wanted a better settlement, and that case is still in court. So it is funny to see that the demolition will take place, because interestingly, I also learned that the people also filed an interlocutory injunction to restrain the Barima Authority, but it has been demolished and the people are terrified. We've been trying to get the regional minister. We've been trying to call them several times. Nothing is happening, and that is what is happening, and it looks very funny. But what is sad is that the people are very terrified because they don't know what will happen tomorrow, whether the task force will come back tomorrow for them, and they're all homeless. The place burnt because we tried getting some of the pictures. You saw them. The pictures are not looking very good, meaning that the people are really terrified.
Okay, so if I get it, they're supposed to have been driven or been away from the land, but they are refusing to go because they believe they deserve better settlement, and so they took the matter to court. And whilst the matter is in court, their houses have been demolished. Yes,
they wanted to be resettled to one of their ancestral lands. So they told the Barima authority they didn't want to go to the Bui village. They wanted a particular place, and the Bui told them, the power authority told them that they could not do that. So that has been an issue. That has been an issue of litigation.
So there's some back and forth.
They've been litigating over the issue for some time, and they have even appealed. And that's what I hear. That it has gone as far as the appeal stage, and only for the people to wake up and find out that it has been demolished. I also understand that 2 weeks ago there was a press conference that was held, and they want the people to move from the community, and the people thought nothing would happen, but unfortunately yesterday it happened.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Jojo Kobna. He's been working the story on the Dokochina demolitions, and we'll be following on this story, hopefully bring you some more update on that, so do stay tuned to Joy News. In other news, there seems to be no end to what has become known as the Sada story. After Tuesday's report, which highlighted the desolation at the supposed afforestation zones of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, it turns out due process was not followed in the award of the 32.4 million Ghana cedi contract to ACI Construction Limited. The company, a subsidiary of the Agams Group, was handed the contract without going through any competitive bidding. The audit report on SADA has flagged it a violation of the procurement law and recommends sanctions against former SADA CEO Gilbert Idi. Manasseh Azuriawene has more.
In June 2012, SADA awarded ACI Construction Limited a contract to plant 5 million trees on 300 project locations in 5 regions. The contract was worth 32.4 million Ghana cedis and was for 1 year, subject to renewal. Former CEO of SADA, Gilbert Idi, explains why the company was chosen.
The information that was available to me from what I received was that they had been doing a similar thing on the coastal, Savannah area.
Where exactly?
I think Central Region or somewhere. I'm not too sure. Central Region. I have the document that quotes it.
That ACI Construction had undertaken tree planting before?
Yes. Yeah. And that one, they had been involved in mobilizing youth for youth employment. And then 2, they've been involved in activities relating to environmental protection. And then 3, that they've been involved in planting of trees.
Joy News checks, however, revealed that the company did not have any track record of successfully undertaking tree planting projects. ACI Construction Limited was registered in 2010 by Roland Agambire and Miriam Ajavon. Its authorized business, according to information at the Registrar General's Department, were roads and building construction, civil engineering, plumbing and electrical installation, as well as dealers in building materials. Joy News also secured a contract signed between ACI Construction and the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology for the Youth in Coastal Sanitation and Waste Management project. The 2-year contract was to be renewed based on satisfactory performance, but it wasn't. Some key stakeholders of SADA have expressed concerns about how SADA selected this company and other service providers. Here is Northern Regional Minister Alhaji Limuna Muhammad Muniru.
We don't limit it to just a few hands to take advantage. That is normally the policies, the problems we face. You start it very nicely, but you shroud it in some secrecy, and as if it's just a few privileged people. When that money could have been given to about 20 or 30 service providers, and the benefits will be all over. So this time they should open it and make it a bit competitive, so that if you want to be a service provider, you go through a very critical way of achieving or getting it, so that people are really correctly selected, not just nobody even knows how service providers were selected.
Former SADA CEO Gilbert Sedu Idi, however, defends the decision to use sole sourcing in selecting ACI construction.
The use of, sole sourcing. Because, for instance, if you had decided to go through competitive bidding, I'm sure that the first tree planting would have been sometime this year. The process of going through, bidding and all that is so long and
Is it how
tedious.
fast you do it or how well you do it that you are looking at here?
Both.
Okay, in this case, you've done it fast and
then you see
it's a failure.
Oh, it's not a failure.
The audit report says though the procurement law makes room for sole sourcing, the afforestation contract awarded to ACI Construction did not qualify under the law. It says the company did not have the capacity to execute the afforestation project, hence its failure. It recommends that management institute action to invoke sanctions against the former CEO, Alhaji Gilbert Idi, who signed the contract. Before I ended the interview, I asked Alhaji Idi what he would do differently if he were put in charge of SADA again. Surprisingly, his answer was different from his earlier defense of the contract.
There are certain things I'll do differently.
If you were in charge of SADA today?
Yeah, there are certain things I'll do differently.
What are some of them?
Like I'm telling you, the whole process of choosing a technical service provider and using sole sourcing, I'll frown on it. That's number one. Then, which other one comes up immediately? Yeah, as far as the tree planting process is concerned, that is the biggest problem. Everything about the tree planting process is all right, except that people have questions about the person you have chosen. Not because you have chosen him, but there are question marks about him which you didn't know and which you didn't factor in at the time you were taking that decision.
Joy News has learned that SADA has contracted UDS to count the trees and report on the survival rate. It is not clear what percentage they will put out, but what is clear is that the 32.4 million Ghana cedis has worsened the vegetation cover of most of the SADA afforestation project locations. For Joy News, Barima Osei Asare reporting.
Women farmers at Otuample near Amasama in the Ga West District of the Greater Accra region have called for measures to stop the perennial problem of post-harvest losses. The farmers are unhappy that they invest so much to grow their crops only to have them go bad because they are unable to sell.
According to the women farmers, the development is a disincentive to farming and drawback in attempts to boost the agricultural sector. They say government must find ways to address the problem.
Farming no boyedin and so won't go aduane so and yet machine ho ahia ye afi fertilizer ni boyedin chemicals ni nyina ni boyedin amaye afi so se woni ska na period ndu na se land owner no onya ska na mana no agye free wonje nti se wu se nya bribia ana te se busu bia de be enlarge young business no na young farming no.
Now, the farmers also complain the bank prefer to give loans to those in formal employment and where they are lucky are hit with high interest rates.
Yesi yebe boy bosuya ye call country government say obe boy bosuya ye group ye call amasama ya call ho sa ye maye bibi yesi grant bi wo ho ye de beboa ema akwafu ye kwa ye nya na won hu say ya chiro loan bi churi baby na I see for government workers only transport higher if say kwanu enye papa and wo pese wo nko at this time na ya bia obi so otwen wo de niama no ye market wo nya sa correct time no nko.
Being a small-scale farmer for more than 30 years, Lydia Sasu said improvement in the livelihood of women farmers has a direct bearing on economic development and poverty reduction. According to her, supporting women farmers to increase their yield is important because they produce about 70 and 80% of food crops in Ghana and are therefore best placed to enhance food security. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News.
Well, there may be some good news because over 300 women farmers in the Ga West District are expected to benefit from the greenhouse, solar dryer and thematic bag technology. The technology is to help address the high rate of post-harvest losses experienced by farmers in the district.
According to Research Scientific Officer at the Biotechnology and Nuclear Agriculture Research Institute, Ghana Atomic Energy, Mavis Osei Asare, there have been a lot of attempts to address post-harvest losses, especially with tomatoes. However, the high cost of setting up tomato canning facilities has prevented a sustainable tomato preservation industry. She stressed that there is a need to introduce alternative, inexpensive, efficient, small-scale processing methods in tomato-producing areas. This would absorb excess supply and enhance the value chain.
For me, the emphasis on post-harvest management of agricultural produce, because what is the point in producing so much, yet you're not able to preserve and then, get ready market and also process these into other forms that can stay longer on the shelf. So that is where we focus on as research scientists, trying to enhance agricultural productivity through post-harvest management of crops, through processing, through value addition, and proper storage and management systems. So it's a big challenge that we need the government to step in and farmers so that they are more productive.
Food engineer with the Louisiana State University, USA, added that, given the chance, women can contribute substantially to the development of the food processing industry in Ghana and across Africa. Hence, the need for them to be supported.
Post-harvest losses, here if I look at it in literature review, I talked to these farmers, probably 20 to 30% of their produce got lost before it reached to the market. So that is a pretty large amount. So if you can reduce those losses, their income can be increases. Therefore, their life, they can enhance their power. Also, if they have a proper drying mechanism, they will have a high quality product. So they have the bargaining power is higher.
A community-based processing center is expected to be established to integrate processing activities in the production and management of fresh produce in the district. Matilda Pamagan for Joy News.
A Benz bus with registration number GT560213 skidded off the Tema motorway when the driver swerved to avoid crashing into a fuel tanker with registration number GR9132Y, which had lost a tire. Fire service officials at the scene of the accident controlling traffic said that Sprinter was speeding beyond the limit.
One lane, so he had a best tire, and then what was that? The driver was showing. That's why he diverted. That's all problem. But he didn't knock him at all.
Managed to turn, and they are now facing.
That depended on the driver. It depends on the driver. The way the heart was beating on. That's why he diverted.
Where is the driver now?
The driver, they are all at 30 minutes hospital. Oh yeah, they are many, but they are all there.
We have more news coming up after the break. Don't go away. The PPP has blamed the numerous challenges confronting the education sector over the past 12 years on the various governments it says have poor organizational structures. At a news briefing in Accra, the party called for a national debate on how to implement the free compulsory education through senior high school.
The PPP believes budgetary allocations for the education sector is too small to carry out the agenda of ensuring quality education.
This year, 2014, 16.1% of the total national budget of 36,209,423,662 cedis was allocated to education, making a figure of 5,816,315,034 cedis. But the percentage that is set aside for education reduces. And if you have a government that does not seek to increase the expenditure in education, when its expenditure or when the national budget has increased, then of course we cannot have a policy on education that will be relevant enough for the improvement of our educational sector. And that is one reason for which we, the PPP as a political party, thinks that our educational policy is a better alternative to the good people of Ghana.
According to them, mismanagement of the educational fund is also a contributory factor to the challenges.
Now, GET Fund, which is a government fund that sponsors education in the country with a contribution of 2.5% from VAT revenues, is the second largest financier of education in Ghana. In England, state-run schools and colleges are financed through national taxation. So when you go to England, for instance, the national taxations or the national taxes that are collected are not set aside for the payment of judgment debts. If you do that, then you prioritize payment of judgment debts to or before education, which is wrong.
He also outlined the PPP's policy to tackle the challenges in the sector.
The direction to go is, one, to make teaching an attractive profession. How do you make it an attractive profession? By not raising such flimsy excuses to withdraw allowances. Now, as it stands now, there is a teacher deficit, professional teachers, deficit of about 140,000. And as it stands now also, about 40% of teacher trainees have not returned to school. Ask yourself why.
The Progressive People's Party believes an all-inclusive effort from the various institutions will aid the progress of the educational sector.
Health authorities are beginning to worry a great deal about the level of misuse of insecticide-treated mosquito net and its impact in the fight against malaria. According to them, instead of being used to ward off mosquitoes, people who have these nets use them as nets for fishing, farming, and even as wedding gown veils. The concerns came up at the launch of World Malaria Day here in Accra.
At the launch of World Malaria Day, which is marked on 25th April every year, the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service highlighted progress made with the malaria eradication in Ghana. It is a day for a unified commemoration of the global efforts to combat malaria impacts on the economic development and health of countries, especially those in Africa. The group seized the occasion to highlight the devastating effect of malaria on societies and why it needs collaborative efforts in the fight.
As you can see, we still have malaria. Even though in Greater Accra, prevalence is about 4%. If you go to Upper West, it's 51%. Until we are able to say that malaria is truly eliminated from the country, we have to continue to invest. And therefore, in investing, we are talking about putting in money, making sure you build capacity so that you have the correct people to manage, also making sure that the people themselves, Ghanaians themselves, are adequately informed, okay, so that they handle and prevent themselves from getting malaria.
She is worried. Attitude of Ghanaians against the fight is depressing.
The major challenge is with our own people and their attitude. Malaria, it is not, no, should I say, it's not every fever which is malaria. I mean, I have been singing this song for so many years now, I don't know what to say. Fever represents symptom of many diseases. And therefore, when you feel you have fever, get tested to be sure that you have malaria parasites before you take the medicine. So the challenge is this over-treatment with malaria.
They're supposed to hang the nets up and sleep under them. But we have heard that some people are not sleeping under them. And some people are cutting it and using it for other things. They're even using it for their backyard gardens. I don't know why they will use the nets for their backyard garden, maybe to protect their plants from the goats, but I think it's a wrong use of it. Others are using it for, I hear they are using it for dresses and things, but there are cheaper laces around. So I think that as a country, we should use what the nets have been brought here for us to use it for, because they are treated with insecticide to kill mosquitoes, for us to protect ourselves from malaria. So we really have to
use the nets the way somebody said they are even using it for wedding gown veils, but I don't think that is the right thing to do.
The group also adds funding for the malaria control program is falling, and that is affecting efforts at further reducing recorded malaria cases in Ghana.
The Ministry of Health is taking delivery of equipment worth $99,210 from the Turkish government.
The equipment include 20 phototherapy machines, 20 pulse oximeters, 5 video-assisted laryngoscopes, 3 infusion pumps, 1 handheld ultrasound. The others are 3 oxygen concentrators, 3 versatile oximeter, a true-fit laryngoscope and a Bookwalter tractor. Deputy Minister of Health Dr. Tia Sugri, who received the items on behalf of the ministry, thanked the Turkish Health Minister Mehmet Muezzinoglu and his entourage for collaborating with Ghana to improve its healthcare delivery.
Ghana and Turkey has been having a lot of cooperation agreements over the years, and a lot has been going on. And for Ministry of Health, we've seen the kind of agreement that we were signing, the cooperation agreement with Turkey, and that has been very useful for us as a ministry. Most of those agreements are based on training a lot of our personnel in the health sciences, training our specialists in special areas in medicine, and this is so useful for us because our vision as a people is to improve health care delivery in this country. There are so many other things that we want to do for our people, but the challenges are there. And to have friendly countries like Turkey coming in to give this support, we are so grateful.
Beneficiary hospitals include 37 Military Hospital, Tamale Central Hospital, Tamale Teaching Hospital, and Gushegu District Hospital. The Ministry of Health will also distribute 18 phototherapy machines and 5 laryngoscopes to other medical centers.
Hundreds of children in Old Fadama here in Accra are out of school because the slum, home to over 100,000 people, has no public school. Privately owned schools running makeshift structures are springing up in the community to cater for the vulnerable children. Joy News' Justice Bedu visited one of these schools and sent in this report.
Inside Old Fadama, Ghana's largest slum, pupils march to class to begin the day's work. Over 150 of these children study in this 30 by 25 feet kiosk, which during the day is called the Blessed Complex Preparatory School. After school, however, it becomes a video game and football viewing center, which means on days when there is a big game, the classroom has to be emptied early enough for the setup to begin.
There are certain things that we may need to survive. One of them is what? Food. You all agree with me. How many of you did not eat this morning? Let me see. How many of you did not eat this morning? Everybody has eaten. What did we eat this morning? Rice. What did we eat this morning? Rice.
There is unbearable heat as children from creche to class 3 aged between 2 and 10 years learn in this cramped structure together. Recent figures put people living in this community to well over 100,000. But these people living here have no access to basic amenities like health and education. This is because city authorities continue to regard settlers here as illegal. The closest public school is 5 kilometers away. Children who are able to make it through the makeshift school end up there after class 3. 32-year-old Saka Mohammed set up the Blessed Complex School 6 years ago. He says those who make it into his school can count themselves lucky, the inadequacies notwithstanding. He, however, cannot say same for the thousands others who live in the slum without access to any formal education at all.
The people in this community are financially poor. They cannot help their children to attend other private schools. So because of that, the condition here is very, very hard. So we thought of it that why not putting up something like this so that we can help the poor and needy children in this community.
Mariama Mohammed is 13 and has never been to school in her entire life at Old Fadama. She now prepares porridge for sale for a commission. Many of her peers are in the same situation and in most instances find themselves having to fend their babies too. Saka says government's decision to deny the community development project in order not to encourage settlement is affecting the lives of the people.
Community, we are lack of social amenities in this community. As we can see, hospital, schools. So the community have to bring up all that they can just to support their people. That is all. Other than that, we will suffer.
It is not clear when help would finally arrive for these children, but they keep hope alive. Some manna will fall soon.
Now, former Minister of Trade and Industry in the Kufuor administration and NPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Tremanting has donated assorted items worth thousands of Ghana cedis to support the Joy FM Easter Soup Kitchen initiative. Alan Tremanting described the donation as his widow's mite to support the less privileged in society and called on other philanthropists and organizations to use the upcoming Easter festivities to support the less fortunate.
Alan Tremanting was accompanied by members of his campaign team and other supporters of the NPP. The items donated included bags of rice and several cartons of assorted beverages.
I'm doing this again, making this donation for charity for two reasons. First, because I believe that charity is service to God, it is service to mankind. For the Holy Bible tells us that it is in giving that we shall receive. And the whole foundation of Christianity lies in giving. But secondly, also equally important, is the fact that around this time, around festive occasions, this is the period where the pain of destitution, of vulnerability, of being disadvantaged is felt most. Because this is the time when those of us who can afford have more to eat and actually waste what we have. And so I think that it is appropriate that whilst we could probably not do this every day, that particularly around festive occasions, when we are enjoying, that we also remember that the others who do not have this benefit.
The items were received on behalf of the Multimedia Group Limited by the Human Resource Manager of Joy FM. Alan Tremanting also donated an undisclosed sum of money to support the initiative. When asked about his political future, the former trade minister was silent on the issue, but promised to address the media in due course.
Up next, we bring you sports news with George Addo Jr.
Begin with sports, and I have some good news on the local boxing scene because Bukom Banku and Ayita Powers have assured boxing fans there will be no more hitches as the countdown to May 16 begins for their epic fight codenamed Judgment Night. The two boxers gave their words at a press conference this morning at the Crossport Stadium. The battle lines have been drawn, and come May 16 at the Crossport Stadium, the much-awaited boxing encounter between Barima Osei alias Bukom Banku and Michael Okain alias Ayite Powers will finally come alive after both boxers gave assurance of their commitment. The two boxers gave their words at a press conference this morning at the Crossport Stadium organized by Box Office Sports Promotions under the auspices of the Ghana Boxing Authority as well as DSTV Super Sports, broadcast sponsors who have donated a modern boxing ring for the mega fight. Ayite Powers retreated his desire to fight Bukom Banku.
Victory is mine. I'm going to knock this guy 6 rounds. That's it. I know this guy. This guy is coming to throw slapping, and I'm going to give him correct punch, and he's going to be down. That's it.
And he got a daring response from eternal rival Bukom Banku.
I'm also training her to come and stop Haiti boys because Haiti boys is not my class. Always he's shouting.
GBA Chief Lawyer Peter Zwen has expressed delight that all issues have been settled and the fight is coming on, and minds no words when describing the essence of the non-title cruiserweight bout between Banku and Powers.
I must say that myself and other members of the board are very relieved about the turn of events.
Meanwhile, Alex Intia Mwabwache, CEO of the Box Office Sports Promotions, has assured fight fans who already bought tickets with the April 18 date that it will still be valid, even though the fight date is now May 16.
We sold some tickets with the 18th of April written on it as the date. The tickets that has been bought, they are still valid, and still we have some of that stock.
Ticket prices range from 100 Ghana cedis for VVIP, 50 Ghana cedis for VIP, and 10 Ghana cedis for popular stand. Ringside then on May 16. Now, though, let's talk about what's happening in Spain. And there's a Copa del Rey final between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Guess what? Real Madrid are up by 1-0. Here are the highlights. Find out what happens in the second half. Now, let's talk about the first Capital Plus Premier League games were up today. Match day 25. We'll have the results on your screen now as we go through them very quickly. Inter Allies beat Wild Stars by 1-0. Hearts Alliance joined 1-1 with the Adriana Stars. Liberty Professionals beat the Botswana Dwarfs by 1-0. Ken Faisal beat the Medallas by 3-2. Hazaka drew 1-0 with Asante Kotoko at the Sipon Stadium. Bechebe United beat the New Dubiasa by 1-0. And Brecum Chelsea beat Hearts of Oak by 1-0. Now, a couple of surprising results right now ongoing in the English Premier League, and we'll just try to update you on what's happening right now. Manchester City really needed this game so badly against Sunderland. They had actually to win all their games to give themselves a chance of winning this particular Premier League, but they're drawing 2-2 with Sunderland. That's not a good result, and it's looking like Liverpool can definitely win the league unless Chelsea are able to beat them in that all-important game. There you have it, Fernandinho getting a goal for Manchester City, Connor getting 2 goals for Sunderland, and Nasri as well getting that goal for Man City. It's 2-2 between Man City and Sunderland. Another surprising result between Everton and Crystal Palace. Everton, who are gunning for the Champions League spot, you know, that straight fight between themselves and Arsenal, they actually are losing to Crystal Palace by 3-2. That means that Arsene Wenger and Arsenal fans are very excited about this result, and they might definitely get themselves into Champions League places out there. So we'll see how that pans out. That'll be all for sports tonight. Business is up next. Abigail Adumaku, and she joins us then.
A lot of issues making rounds in business, and of course I'm here to update you. My name is Abigail Adumaku. First up, the bulk oil storage and transportation BOST is confident the ongoing structural changes would help stabilize petroleum products by ensuring adequate daily supplies. BOST is also expected, as part of the structural changes, to take their asset utilization from 27% to 40%. The move is to benefit bulk distribution companies by minimizing storage costs and cushioning against foreign exchange losses.
Managing Director of BOST, Kwame Wadako, in a bid to dispel negative rumors about the structural changes underway at BOST, said the move will eliminate inefficiencies at the storage depots and prevent the delivery of substandard petroleum products to Ghanaians.
The world market price fluctuates. There are times when it's very high and there are times when it's very low. So, for example, right now, world market prices are very low, but it's not being reflected in the ex-pump. Why? Because the demand-supply situation is extremely tight. If the supply situation is improved by BOST holding adequate products or adequate strategic reserves in the country, you will find out that what the framers of the deregulation policy envisaged will start happening. The MPA price will be more of a ceiling, and people may operate at that ceiling or below that ceiling. Then you are talking about a real vibrant market.
BOST, however, maintains the company contracted to undertake the structural changes is purely Ghanaian owned. He also explained that the deal with TSL Logistics is in line with the local content laws. According to Kwame Wadako, the changes are also intended to move BOST processing and transportation capacity from 70,000 to 130,000 metric tons a month by September and up to 200,000 metric tons by December. He also said BOST will be venturing into the Sahelian market by the end of June.
Away from Boss, the Special Operations Unit at the Presidency has impounded about 560 barrels of alcohol imported into the country by top industries. The task force also apprehended some top officials of the company it says were using the Free Zones Enclave as a conduit to evade taxes on the goods amounting to 93,000 Ghana cedis. The Special Operations Unit at the Presidency, otherwise known as the Presidential Task Force, raided the warehouse of Excellence Company Limited that had in stock the expected 660 barrels of alcohol. Excellence Company Limited, which happens to be the buyer of the undeclared goods imported by Top Industries, had only 560 barrels. The Presidential Task Force maintains Top Industries has flouted the Free Zones Act by selling the imported raw materials and also evading the duty charge on the goods valued at 93,978.62 cedis.
The CID, working with the Special Operations Unit and the police in collaboration of customs, we were able to apprehend the said company officials. They have since given statements to the police CID. Investigations have commenced. They have admitted wrongdoing, and we would expect that the law would take its course. So we are going to leave no stone unturned to bring to book those public officials as well as unscrupulous private entities and companies which are conniving to defraud the state to book.
Dr. Clement Park added that about 280 companies last year evaded taxes and are still under investigations.
We have retrieved 320 million, and we had indicated that after that we're going to submit the file to the police CID. As I speak to you today, the CID has written to all of them and has been inviting them in batches of 10 to come and respond. The volume of work alone is enormous. So we are processing, the CID is processing them for court in batches of 10, and they've been going to respond, and many of them have actually paid, but they still have to face the full rigors of the law. We have noticed very quickly that some are trying to use the free zone system. Others are even trying to use the ports themselves as bonded warehouses, which also explains why there's a lot more concern about choking at the port. But we are up to the task.
The Presidential Task Force, however, located the remaining 100 barrels at the bonded warehouse of Top Industries in Tema, but found them empty. Abigail Admakwenchi for Joy News.
The structure of small businesses coupled with their poor bookkeeping practices is hindering banks from granting them credit. According to the executive manager of First Capital Plus, some banks have shifted focus from SMEs, although they were established solely to help these small enterprises.
According to the executive manager of First Capital Plus, to address the difficulties SME face in accessing credit, a number of financial institutions sprang up mainly to assist small businesses. However, these institutions are gradually drifting from granting loans to SMEs to financial large corporate organizations. According to executive manager of First Capital Plus Bank, Dr. Charles Akwete, the poor corporate governance structure of these businesses remain a disincentive for them.
The challenge with small business is that most of them are not ready. People jump into doing business simply because others are doing it, and they are not ready to stick to one business. They move from one to the other. What they are doing now is what we call try and error. Let me just do anything because I see a colleague or friend doing it and the person is making money, so that they jump into it. So most of them are just moving their funds away, and in the end they bend their fingers and they cause a lot of harm to the banks and other financial institutions. The banks are focused on those that are growing, because no bank will want to go into areas where the people are not serious, and that is really will affect those who are starting startups and those who do not have proper structures in place. When it happens in that way, then those ones.
He advised reference bureaus to up their business to make information more credible and dependable as basis for credit approval.
They are playing a major role, except that they need to up their game and do a little bit more. In terms of records that they keep, it is what the banks provide, that is what they have. But they need to do a little more so that whoever wants to look out for them will have to get the information from them. The information should be credible, reliable and dependable. What government should do is to increase the contribution of Exim guarantee, provide a much bigger guarantee for corporate institutions, for associations like AGI, give a blanket collateral to AGI. We can only help them if they help themselves. They must be truthful. They should stop diverting their funds, and they should stick to what the good business practices are.
Dr. Charles Akwetha also cautioned SMEs to use the funds they receive judiciously in order to gain government financial support. To address the difficulties SMEs face in accessing credit, a number of financial institutions sprang up mainly to assist small businesses. However, these institutions are gradually drifting from granting loans to SMEs to finance large corporate organizations. According to Executive Manager of First Capital Plus Bank, Dr. Charles Akwetha, the poor corporate governance structure of this business remains a disincentive for them. He advised Reference Bureau to up their businesses to make information more credible and dependable as basis for credit approval. Dr. Charles Akwetha also cautioned SMEs to use the funds they receive judiciously in order to gain government support.
Now we all for business. I'm Abigail Adamakwinchi.
Controversial musician Barima Osei has offered a piece of advice to upcoming artists to stay away from the use of juju or voodoo and concentrate more on nurturing their talent. He stated that using spiritual powers to gain fame will only end them in disgrace.
There's nothing like being yourself. What I say, music scene here, no show my obiaba, but they be a train starting out to say nina and nyepe, which means nyamima talent in the crowd now would any unique from obia on us will be. Inti one kasa show who you look within yourself, not share do you very good at. Obo are very good at singing, so do the singing. Obo are very good at rap, yeah rap. Obo then so a person singing or rap, a person rap, you know, look within yourself, not baby ayade, na master hoye. And two, being yourself, no so mention say no way you win or hate you also quite be. Try and be unique kakra. Always remember say Nyankopon the talent in our there. Then he is the only source of power. Definitely he's the only person and that's the only way. He's omnipotent. On open necessary ocean. But more for fresh frame in Jijin draw. Musicians need be brain and omu Jijin draw and omunina. Omu try on crowd almost sense not to say choir baby our fan yet. Omutimi Ra studio, Ra to said no. Yeah, I mean, and some for the make a say expiring date at down because of Brunsama dear and be able to shen, but expiring date the home only trim co. Banyakupo Mawa dear, a everlasting. The up and coming once Munya Butre. Look to God and or the more I know the amount, Menko Frafrim, and Coffee for baby. Yes, sir. Obeji Dino right, but Ochinayan Kai will be.
Video sharing sites like YouTube seem to have charged a lot of people to unleash their creative talent on consumers. Whilst many Ghanaian musicians resort to the medium to promote their work, some individuals are riding on the popularity of these artists to also become popular. So what is driving the boom in parody videos? Showbiz has been seeking some answers.
It is supposed to be for Castro and Sarkodie's song, Adonai.
Obiantone Coalition. Biantone Coalition. Obiantone Coalition.
You probably enjoyed it, right? Well, the reality is, it is not the original video for the song. It was created by Nanase, an IT technician. But why?
Yeah, well, I like the lyrics of the song, honestly. It's a song I can listen to like 20 times in a day because it's praising God, it's making you understand that you can't do anything without God, and that hallelujah and praise be to God. So that's where it comes from. It's a self-motivated move. It's not like they called me to do it or someone told me to do it. I stood up one day and then I just could feel the song in my head. I was really thinking about it. Why don't I do a dance to it so people can really understand how I relate to the song? So if you watch the video, the mannerisms in there shows I was really into the song.
This Adona video is not the only parody video online. There are lots more, including this one for
Now you it for Showbiz.
Showbiz was brought to you by
Airtel Money. It's simple, secure, instant.
We'll go the quick run through our top stories. Former Chief Executive of Savannah Accelerated Development Authority cited for violation of procurement law in award of controversial 32.4 million Ghana cedis afforestation contract. Over 200 homes, including that of the chief, demolished at Doko China in the Brunahafo region by the Regional Security Council. The Progressive People's Party is blaming the poor organizational structures of various regimes for current challenges in the education sector. At Old Fadama here in Accra is a kiosk which serves as a school by day and a football viewing center at night. And health authorities are worried about the use of insecticide-treated mosquito nets for fishing, farming, and as wedding gowns and other purposes other than warding off mosquitoes. That's it. My name is Israel Lion. Thank you for watching and have a good evening.